Hello, everyone, and welcome to another amazing episode of Finding the Superpowers Within. I am your host, Dr. April J. Lisbon. Ladies and gentlemen, every episode is phenomenal. But let me tell you, today's special guest, whew, powerful, impactful, influencer, and a true person who is authentic about who she is, about her brand, and her purpose in life. And today's special guest is the amazing Miss Melony Hill. Melony is an award-winning author, a philanthropist, and the founder of Stronger Than My Struggles, as well as the Crazy Like a Fox tour. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm telling you, she's an amazing person to get to know and to connect with, the amazing Miss Melony Hill. Melony, how are you today?
I'm pretty good, April. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for being on the show. So we're going to just go ahead and dive right in because I know that your time is precious because you are a busy entrepreneur. But tell us a little bit about your diagnosis of differential identity disorder and exactly when did you first learn about it?
Well, actually, I'm multi-diagnosed. So I have dissociative identity disorder, which people say as multiple personalities. I also was diagnosed with PTSD, depression, and anxiety disorder. So I have a plethora of diagnoses, and they all play together. um, I've been noticing that I had issues since I had my first blackout at 7, but no one really got me the help that I needed until I was in my 30s. And it was 30 when I finally went to therapy. And after maybe my first year in therapy, we were able to finally pin down the fact that I was really a multiple, and that it had stemmed from so many things in my past. But about 7.5 years into therapy is when I was able to finally like come back to a place of stability and be able to talk about all of my diagnoses and my journey.
Good. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So, one of the things that I want to talk about is the fact that we really don't discuss multiple personalities in our society. We are customary talking about bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, anxiety and depression, as you mentioned, but typically we really don't talk about multiple personality disorders. So for you, will you think through, your childhood just a little bit, not to go back through the traumatic components, but what's some of the things that you remember that you experienced as a child that may help another individual who may end up being diagnosed with DID in the future?
Well, I think that it's important to pay attention to the things people say to you because we brush so much off as, other people are being funny. Um, I used to always hear, you only remember what you want, or you have selective memory, and never thought, well, maybe I should go get, tested, or maybe y'all should find out why I only remember certain things or certain people. Like I was the kid, so I never pressed it, but you have to pay attention to what people say to you. Like if you don't remember that you're forgetting everything, but other people are saying that you're constantly not remembering, maybe you should go and be seen, or maybe your parents should get you seen, because it's not that you're just a bad kid or a bad person and you just have a bad memory all the time. Maybe you have a dysfunction that's blocking your memories or keeping you from being able, because that's what dissociative identity disorder is you're not able to handle or process something that's happening, so it's like your mind splits and it creates another person that can handle it. So I don't have access to their memories. It's constant, also, I would say to be kind to yourself no matter what people say to you, because other people's perception of you is not always your reality. And people will try to make you think that because you're acting a certain way that you are a certain type of person, or you must be this, or you must be mean or standoffish, or you might be just trying to process what's going on in your own head, and you don't know how to get it out to them. You don't know how to express that there are things that are happening that you just don't understand. So be kind to yourself, you know?
That's really good. That is really good. So as we think about the idea of parents, because I think you just mentioned that a few minutes ago, what can parents do to support their child if they feel like, they are having these blackout moments? What steps do you think may have been supportive for you as you were growing up through this process?
Well, I think for parents, it's not to just even look for blackouts, but to look for differences in behavior and to really pay attention to your kids. Like, it's really hard today. We don't have the nuclear family. So we don't have mom, dad, and, mom's at home. We have mom working in a lot of cases. We don't have enough time to pay attention to our kids all the time. But it's really important to pay attention to their changes in behavior, the changes in friends, their changes in habits. Like, because when these things are happening, it's not necessarily they're just going through a phase. They might have switched. They might have a different personality going on. I didn't know, but my sister said to me once, yeah, well, I thought you knew because Kat lived with us for a year when you were like 16. And I said, what do you mean she lived with you for a year? She was like, yeah, you were gone. Like, she would tell us, my name is Kat. And I guess my family thought I was going through a phase where I wanted to be called Kat. But like, she was literally saying, I'm not Melony. I'm not your daughter. Like, I'm not Melony. And no one heard it.
Wow. Wow, that's impactful, because that's one of the things that, even I as a school psychologist tried to remind parents that it's so important to listen to what your children are saying every single day and without judgment, without bias, because there is something that's there that they need to get out, and you are the
Mm-hmm.
only voice of reasoning. So thank you for saying that and finding and helping parents to find value in listening to their kids and not talking over them,
Amen.
what they believe, is going on, but finding value in listening to what your children have to say.
And not just that, but trying um to believe what you don't understand.
That's good. That's good.
To understand that you may not understand what's going on, but to believe it may be happening.
Yes.
Believe what you don't understand. You know, you just trust that your kid is your kid, the one that you raised, and wouldn't lie to you about these voices or these things, like not remembering.
Yeah.
Trust what you don't understand sometimes.
That's really good. That is really good. Now, I know you're an entrepreneur, but I'm just thinking through some of the process that there are some people with multiples who have to work in, a traditional 9 to 5 job. So what do you think may be helpful for someone who does have to work a traditional job? What kinds of supports and services do they need on the job, either from their coworkers and or their employer?
Well, see, I used to have a job.
Okay,
Well,
good.
I used to work. I used
Okay,
to work.
good.
So I can tell you because before I was diagnosed, I was working. I
Mm,
only stopped working after my diagnosis because I finally realized why I couldn't function traditionally. So I always had really good jobs like corporate and benefit plans and things, and I still kept like not fitting in. Like, I was antisocial even in situations where everyone was friendly. I still had that you only remember certain things, like you're friendly on some days and some days you're not. It was things where one of me feels the pain. I had fibromyalgia, so I suffer from chronic pain. Some of me don't feel that pain. So some days I would come in wearing my back brace and I need the pillows, and some days I don't. And so, they'd be like, oh, you're lying about your illnesses and the pain that you're in. So you need someone to understand at your job that you are a multiple and that you may experience different moods, different things with your body, that you may even look different.
mm,
I look different some days. And they have to understand that you're not trying to be funny. You're not different. You're you. It's just a different version of you. And to try to not make you feel bad or to point it out and to make you feel uncomfortable because you don't know what that may trigger, and it may bring another person out who's not, as coordinated as the one who decided to show up at work.
yes. Oh, that's good. That's really, really good. So another question that I wanted to ask you is this. Tell me one or two things that you would tell your younger self about this journey, about being a multiple.
I would say stand in your truth.
That's great.
I wish that I would have stood in my truth a lot younger. I really do, because I went through so many unnecessary things because I didn't get the help I needed earlier, because everyone else told me it was nothing wrong with me. So I told myself it was nothing wrong with me. And if I would have believed that something was really wrong with me, I wouldn't have ended up in a lot of situations, because I would have got help a lot earlier and learned to deal with who I am, and maybe even got the medicine I needed earlier, you know. And I would also tell myself that everybody isn't who they appear to be.
Mhm.
So it's okay to guard myself, but I don't have to hide myself. I can guard myself. Like, I really wish that I would have learned how to manage my emotions versus running from them. So maybe I wouldn't have so many personalities.
Oh, that's some great advice, not only for people who are multiples, but for just people in general. You know, stand in your truth and believe it. You know, don't. It's almost like don't shift yourself to appease other people, because in the end, it's going to end up impacting you. And you are
It did,
telling some
you know.
truth right now,
Amen.
some real truth right now. So before we end the show, I had one more question to ask you. Where do you see yourself 3 to 6 months from now after doing this show?
Well, because I work with other survivors like myself, helping them to break past the stigma, stereotype, and shame that's associated with their illnesses. I'm working on my first docu-series with another person who has an amazing superpower. And I'm excited to be able to say in 3 to 6 months, hopefully I'll be debuting my docu-series. And I'm working with a new program, because in Baltimore, I've been running a therapeutic writing workshop for the last 3 years. Actually, July will be our 3-year anniversary. And I do it free for the community, because we need a place to express ourselves. And I find that journaling is a really good way. And so I help them use writing as a technique to heal. And so I'm working on this new program for them, and I'm really excited that I'm doing beta testing for it in July. So hopefully in 3 to 6 months, I'll be traveling. COVID will be gone, and I'll be traveling and taking this around, because I really wanted to have it in other communities.
Awesome, that's wonderful. So Melanie, if people wanted to reach out to you and connect with you to either learn more about Stronger Than My Struggles, Crazy Like a Fox tour, as well as the upcoming docu-series that's going to come out this year, can you share with us your social media information as well as the best way that people can contact you?
Well, we make it really easy. So we're Stronger Than My Struggles on everything. You can go to strongerthanmystruggles.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And then Melony Hill, you can go to melonyhill.com. And I'm on Facebook as Coach Melony Hill. And hopefully you'll reach out to me, because I love talking about these things, as you can see. Like,
Yes, I love it. Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, today has been nothing short of inspirational, impactful, and extremely empowering today. I would like to thank our guest, Melony Hill, for sharing her superpower of not only differential identity disorder, but also depression and anxiety, as well as even fibromyalgia, something that we really don't talk about, but that does exist. I thank you so much for your authenticity. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, please be sure to stay tuned for some more amazing shows, because as you can see, we have some wonderful millennials and Gen Zs who are changing the game of what we call life. Thank you so much, and be sure to share and to like and to tag Finding the Superpowers Within. I'm your host, Dr. April J. Lisbon. Have a great day.